Would you look at somebody and say, ours is an inverted kingdom?
Ours is an inverted kingdom.
Okay, now say it now like you heard it before. Ours is an inverted kingdom.
Ours is an inverted kingdom.
Let me give you a definition for the word inverted. Inverted. Let's just, okay, and I'm almost done. Inverted. It is to put upside down, or in the opposite position, or in the opposite order, or in the opposite arrangement. So in the kingdom, the way you invest in you is by investing in others. Are you okay? Now I'm really, I want you to grab this spirit and say, this is a kingdom principle. It's a spiritual principle. You don't grow by hoarding and being selfish, right? In the kingdom, we don't get by keeping, we get by giving. Are you okay? We sing that song. Give myself away so you can use me. But I'm going to keep my books, Lord. I give myself away. Give myself away so you can use me. But I can't give a tithe this week, Lord. I give myself away. No offering, Lord. I got to get those shoes while they're still on sale. I give myself away so you can use me. Pastor Bill's going to India. He's got to go by himself because I'm not going, Lord. I give myself away. Oh, God. Are you getting this? But it's an inverted kingdom. Jesus taught that the way up is down.
Wow.
Right? The way to receive is to give everything you have away. It's an inverted kingdom. Okay, quickly now. Do we see Philemon? Right? Are you there? Let me just pull one verse out of this letter. Okay, we know who Philemon was. Philemon, his wife is mentioned in the text. Is it Appia? Is that her name? Appia? And there's a third person. Well, there's, Archippus, we believe is their son, who was in ministry, and the historical account of Archippus is that he probably was involved in missions. So he wasn't really serving per se in the house church with mom and dad. He was kind of going out and being involved in all of the other house churches in the surrounding area. At one point, Paul says in a letter, he says, encourage Archippus to fulfill his ministry. Amen. Encourage him to do that, right? And so we know what happens with Philemon, right? Philemon, he's a well-to-do man. We believe he's a man of wealth and stature, and he has slaves, and he has a slave by the name of who? Onesimus, right? And the story goes that Onesimus stole something from him and ran away, right? So not only was he a runaway slave, but he was a thief. Say amen. Now, some of us run because we're a thief. You ain't going to say nothing, but it's okay. We run for all sorts of reasons. But Onesimus takes off. In his running, guess who he runs into? Right? Probably the greatest apostle evangelist of the time, Paul. And in running, listen, I'll tell you, all you got to do is meet the right person, and your life will become inverted. I'm preaching so good. And an inverted life is the best kind of life to live. An upside down life, which is really a right side up life in an upside down world. Amen. Are you okay? Gwen, you good? Yeah, that's working for me. Now I'm like, wow, come on, Lord. And so he runs into Paul, and Paul does what Paul does. He shares the gospel. He shares the gospel. Listen, sharing the gospel is, listen, we say tell your story. But when you tell your story, you don't fill the story up with you. Because it's not your story. It's his story written on the pages of your life. And so you have to talk more about Jesus than you talk about you. Amen. That's the gospel. And it is that changes lives. Are we okay?
Amen.
And so Paul shares the gospel with him, and this man gets saved. Say sweetly saved.
Sweetly saved.
I mean, he gets saved. He's loving Jesus. He's loving everybody. And Paul says, now you know, if you really want to get this right, be right, stay right, you got to go back. And if I'm on Onesimus, Ty, I'm saying send me anywhere but back there. Because, here I'm a brother. There I'm a slave. Here I'm respected. There I'm wanted for robbery. I can't get no witness. But here's the issue. When God touches your life, you don't have to worry about here or.
Amen.
Because the same God that'll invert you here will invert things there. And when you get there, it'll match up. Are you okay? Some of us are running from our past. Stop running from your past. Listen, let me tell you something. Running from your past and running to your future are not the same thing.
Wow.
They are not the same thing. So he says, you got to go back. And he says, Paul says, don't worry. Listen, he says, I'm going with you. He never physically goes. When we track the movement of the Apostle Paul, I'm almost finished, really. When we track the movement of the Apostle Paul, there's no record of Paul ever going to Colossus. There's no record of him ever physically being there, though his letters were there. Epaphras is the guy who's really given credit for taking the gospel to Colossus and helping to preach out the church in Colossus. Paul was never there. But how many of you know you don't have to be in a place to have spiritual equity in a place? You don't have to be in a place. I have some friends in Rwanda. You gotta come. You gotta come. The church, they're ready for you. They want you here. I ain't never been there, but I have equity there. You don't physically have to go. And so Paul says, I'm going with you. Here, take this letter. And then he writes Philemon. If we had time, if you ever want to read something that's powerful, you have to understand the story and then read the letter. Read the letter. Read how the Spirit of God uses Paul to remind Philemon that it's more blessed to give than to receive. How the Spirit uses Paul to remind Philemon that we lead with forgiveness, not suspicion. It's incredible. And Paul would say something and say, I want you to do this for him. And if you do it for him, remember you're doing it for me. Yes. Who says no to Paul? That's like the father of our region, Bishop Tommy Reed, coming in and he asking something of us. And we say, nah, we don't want to do that. You don't say no to him. Do you understand? You don't say no to him. Paul says, I want you to do this for me. Let's lift the verse. Verse number 20. And then we'll go. So here's Paul. And he says, yes, brother. The dude is calling you brother. He's calling you fellow worker. I mean, all these, Paul puts Philemon on his same level. He puts Philemon on the same level. And he says, yes, brother. Where am I, brother? Yes, brother. I want some, listen to what he says. I want some benefit from you in the Lord. Refresh my heart in Christ. Look at somebody and tell them, say, I want some benefit from you.
I want some benefit from you.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. In other words, Paul is saying, I understand that ours is an inverted kingdom. And the fact of the matter is for years I've invested in you. I may not have been there, but you read the letter that I wrote to the church, and I know that letter, you stood up in your church, in your house, and read that letter, and blessed the people of God, and strengthened them. And not only that letter, but the letter I wrote to them got sent to you. And listen, I know that I've blessed you. I know that I've poured into you. I know that I've been good for you. I know that I have invested in you. Now it's time for a return. I want some benefit. Yeah. Can I ask a question now, just quickly, and then I'm going to go to my seat after I ask another question. But this is just the first. Whatever, forget you. When you get up here, you ask me questions as you want. Is there anybody in the room who could say you've been a benefit to me? That you listen, that you really poured into me. That when I was in a place where nobody else would give you a penny with a hole in it for me, when I looked up, there you were. And you had an encouraging word. You were praying for me. You were praying with me. You stuck by me. You ministered to me. You served me. You invested in me. And in doing so, you invested in yourself. And now it's time for it. You've got to be a benefit to somebody. You cannot just be a taker. Just be a receiver. Just be a receiver. You know the human anatomy is not even that way. You can't just take in and take in and take in and not release. You get that on the right hand. The body ain't even made it. If that happens to you, go to the hospital. Quick. Go, run, hurry. And after a while, the pain's gonna kick in. You say, well, I'm not here to serve. I'm not here to minister. I'm only here to receive. That's not the kingdom we're in. Amen. That's not our kingdom. That's the way of the world. That's the kingdom of the world. It's time for you to be a benefit.
Yeah.
I wish the worship team would sing some different songs. 2 things for you. Gather up some new songs and join the worship team. Amen. Tell them I sent you. I don't care if you can't carry a tune in a bucket. Tell them I sent you. Well, you turn your mic off. And you just up there singing. Your mic off. You ain't bothering nobody. Say amen. Mike, turn it off. Listen, if all you do, all you see is what's missing and what's wrong, it'll continue to be missing and wrong until you step up and decide to be a benefit. Amen. Boy, I'm preaching so good in here. Are you okay? Listen, I keep telling you that a critical spirit is not listed in the gifts of the Spirit. Amen. It's not there. It's not there. If that's your gift, carry it elsewhere. Well, I've been blessed with the gift of the critique. We don't need that. Ray Charles can see what's wrong. We need you to be a part of the solution. Be a benefit. Are you okay? I want to hit one other word here in the same verse. Oh boy, I'm done. I'm done. Verse number 20. Listen, look at the last. Oh, hi, Paul, yes, Lord. Listen, the last phrase, last sentence. He says, refresh my heart in Christ. Whose heart are you refreshing?
Oh, my.
Paul's in prison. He's in prison. So this is a layered thing. There's all kinds of layers on this, all kinds of implications on this. But Paul says to Philemon, I want you to refresh my heart. Refresh doing the right thing, the right way, for the right reasons is refreshing. I don't do it right because I know they're looking at me. That ain't gonna work. Motive is a mean thing. Amen. And listen to me, God looks at motive before he looks at action. And the wrong motive will negate the right act. Oh boy, Amen. Good Lord, help us. Are you okay? So he says, refresh. In the Greek language, refresh means to cause someone to become physically refreshed as the result of, is to be physically refreshed as the result of resting from work. It is to cause to rest. It is to give rest. In other words, in one sense, Paul was saying to Philemon, listen, if you handle this right, I could rest easy. I could rest it. I'm sending him back. He said he left as a slave. I'm sending him back as a brother. At one point, Paul says he left, and the name Onesimus, he said, useless, but I'm sending him back, and he's useful. Look at somebody say, refresh me.
Refresh me.
Refresh me. Refresh me. Don't see me as useless. See me as useful. Refresh me. Right? Refresh me. And I'm going to refresh you. I'm not going to see you in the way I used to. I'm praying, God, give me new eyes for my sisters and for my brothers. Give me new vision for the people around me. Help me to see them in a different way. Help me to speak to them in a different way. Refresh. I want to be refreshing. Are you okay? Look, somebody say it's an inverted kingdom.
It's an inverted kingdom.
That was Lawanita's definition of the Greek word that means to refresh. Strong says to refresh. He said it is to cause something to cease. Now let's look at this implication. It is to cause something to cease. So Paul's saying to Philemon, there's a hiccup in the kingdom. There's an issue. And he says, Philemon, you're the only one who can make it go away.
Amen.
You're the only one who can make it cease. Can I ask a question? What foolishness is going on around you that you need to refresh? That you need to cause to cease? Because sometimes we'll chase things because the pursuit of them makes us look noble. Makes us look a certain kind of way. It brings us sympathy. I'll tell you about it because it'll bring me empathy. Right? The word empathy in the Greek, the prefix em means in. Pathy in the Greek means the feeling. And so empathy means to be in the feeling. And as long as I can pull you into my feeling, oh Lord, it makes me feel better. I feel better by making you feel okay. You got to be careful that you don't use feelings and emotions to manipulate. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. See, if we don't know what the words mean, we'll keep mishandling them. And when I mishandle words in regards to you, then it means I'm mishandling you.
Amen.
And so we got to be careful seeking empathy from others. Right? When the truth is, you're the only one who can refresh the situation. Are you okay? So I need you to refresh me. I need you to refresh me. I need to be refreshing to you. I wonder, can we make a point to be a fresh breeze for one another? Can we make a point to be listen, I want to refresh you. And the whole while, I know that as long as I'm investing in you, I'm investing in me. Because here's how it works. When I need refreshing, you're full of refreshment. Y'all, do you get it? Listen, if you are not willing to give it away when you need it, it won't be around.
Amen.
There's a paraphrase in Ephesians chapter 6. It's verses 6 and 7 or 7 and 8. And the paraphrase is this: what you make happen for others, God will make happen. Come on. Really, it's the truth. It's the truth. Can I ask you one last question now? What have you been causing to happen for others? And so let a man examine himself. Come on, you good? This is what God has called us to. This is our purpose in the earth. This is it. And so, listen, you should be encouraged that number one, I'm hearing God. That's great. That's great. But more than that, I'm going to obey. And so when the Lord gives me something to do, to invest in you, to refresh you, I'll be John Brown if I don't do it. I'm going to do it. Because you are vital to the kingdom. Paul says, he's saying to Philemon, this relationship between you and Onesimus is vital to the kingdom. He said, Philemon, you may not even be aware of all of the people who are watching how you handle this. You think, well, my situation is nowhere near like Philemon's and Onesimus, but you would still be surprised how many people are watching you handle this. Yeah. Would you lean over and ask somebody, say, how you handling this? How you handling this? People are watching you go through what you're going through. How are you handling it? People are watching to see whether or not whether you react or whether you respond. People are watching. People are watching. They are down in a hole. And every time you walk near the edge of the hole, they reach up and pull you in. There are people around where you stay away from the edge because they...
Right.
Y'all act like I'm talking a different language. You don't know I'm telling the truth. Listen, and if I fall down in the hole with you, you're too big to be on my shoulders. Talking about boost me up. No, I'm going to stay up top and I'm going to throw you a rope, a vine. I'm dialing 911. I'm going to find out. Hang on, I'll be back. Listen, 2 people in the ditch. You know what that means? 2 people in the ditch. Our odds are better if only one is in the ditch. Let me help you come out of there. Do you understand? Stop using empathy as a tool of manipulation. Okay, I'm done. I think I'm done. You okay? It's an inverted kingdom. And an investment in the kingdom works a different way than investing in the world works. Okay, we're going to talk about, during the course of the year, we'll talk about some other inversions, some other things that are inverted in the kingdom. Service is inverted in the kingdom. Authority is inverted in the kingdom. Right? There's some other things that are inverted in the kingdom. And they are principle. And we need to capture the principle. And when you capture it and live by it, it changes the course of your life. And whatever it is you've been getting, you don't have to always get. Right. Stop believing the lie of the devil.
Amen.
Okay. Are we all right? The man in the movie now, he said, can you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Do you get this? Okay, come on, let's stand in the presence of the Lord.
We hope you enjoyed this message and were blessed by it. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like us on Facebook for more ministry and information.